Welcome to the Morris Perspective. I'm your host, Connie Morris, retired police officer, educator, author, and a voice for change. At the Morris Perspective, we confront uncomfortable realities, laugh when life demands it, and recover the history they hope we would forget. This is real talk for real people. Welcome back to the Morris Perspective podcast. We're on episode 5, Life in the Ghetto, and I'm your host, Connie Morris. One thing I like about the Kerner Commission, those people really wanted to know the truth. And so they didn't just watch the news to get the truth. They actually went on scene to get the truth. And we're going to find out this information regarding what it's like to live inside the ghetto. And so let's go. So I want to welcome you all back to the Morris Perspective podcast. I'm your host, Connie Morris, and we covered in episode 4, we looked at how ghettos were built through redlining, restrictive covenants, white flight, and urban renewal. And tonight, we're going to go on with episode 5, Life Inside the Ghetto. The Kerner Commission didn't just talk about structures. They sent researchers into Black neighborhoods to document what life was really like. And what they found was not just poverty, but a daily struggle for survival. Number 1, unemployment and work. The commission pointed to unemployment as one of the deepest wounds in the ghettos of 1967. Unemployment rates for Black men, especially the young, were double or triple that of whites. In 1967, nearly 20% of young Negro males were out of work, the report noted. Jobs were disappearing from the cities as factories moved to the suburbs. Those who found work were often stuck in low-paying, unstable jobs. And here's a perspective. Without steady work, there is no stability. Families can't plan for tomorrow, and frustration grows. That frustration is the fuel that turned traffic stops and arrests into full-blown uprising. Family and social structure was part 2 of this research. And it says here that the commission also examined family life. They saw how poverty, unemployment, and overcrowding put stress on families. They note the rise of single-parent households and how social services often punish rather than support struggling families. But let's be clear, the commission did not say Black culture was broken. They said poverty and racism put pressure on families. And instead of strengthening them with opportunity, America weakened them with neglect. In other words, the system didn't just fail families, it fractured them. Number 3, housing. Housing was one of the most visible markers of inequality. In ghetto neighborhoods, the commission found overcrowding, crumbling buildings, rats, and fire hazards. One resident told investigators, "We're packed in like animals, but nobody cares until a fire breaks out." Landlords charge high rent for poor conditions, knowing Black families had nowhere else to go. And this is the key. The commission found that Black families were often paid more for housing than white families, but got less in quality. That wasn't just unfair, it was robbery. Number 4, schools and education. Education was supposed to be the path out, but the commission found that schools in Black neighborhoods were overcrowded, underfunded, and segregated. Teachers were often unprepared or hostile. Facilities were crumbling. Opportunities for higher education were slim. The report said plainly, discrimination in education locked the Negro into the lowest paying jobs with little hope for advancement. Think about that. Children were being prepared for a life of poverty, not opportunity. And here we are in 2025 with schools still funded by property taxes, still separate, still unequal. So here's my perspective. Life inside the ghetto wasn't just about poverty. It was about being boxed in at every angle. No jobs, no decent housing, no quality schools, families stretched to the breaking point. The Kerner report didn't describe the dysfunction. It described oppression. If you want to understand why the uprisings erupted, you have to understand what it means to live with no exit, no escape, and no hope. That's what the commission saw, and that's what America ignored. Lamentations chapter 3, 19 to 20. And it reads, I remember my affliction and my wandering, the bitterness and the gall. I will remember them. I will remember them, and my soul is downcast within me. This reflects the lived experience inside the ghetto, the bitterness of unemployment, housing struggles, broken schools. It captures the heaviness, but also sets up the need for hope and justice. Amos 5:11 reads, You trample on the poor and force them to give you grain. Therefore, though you have built stone mansions, you will not live in them. Though you have planted lush vineyards, you will not drink their wine. That doesn't sound like a happy place, right? For those who exploited the poor. This goes directly at the exploitation. Landlords charging high rent for crumbling housing, systems profiting from the suffering of Black families. It ties perfectly to your segment on housing and systemic robbery. Wow. I just want to read that again because it just kind of touched my heart. And because we who struggle or in struggling or have struggled sometimes feel like you're all alone, like no one is watching over when will this end. But we see here that the Bible already has it covered on what happens to those that exploit the poor. It's never a good thing. We don't know when it's going to happen, but we know when the Bible says it, that it's written down as though it has happened before. And this is how he handles exploitation. Amos 5 reads, Trample on the poor and force him to give you grain. Therefore, though you have built stone mansions, you will not live in them. Though you have planted lush vineyards, you will not drink their wine. So tonight we're walking inside the ghetto. We walked inside the ghetto, unemployment, family pressures, crumbling houses, and broken schools. In our next episode, we'll shift focus to the relationship at the heart of the uprising between the Black community and the police. We'll talk about how law enforcement became both the spark and the symbol of oppression. So this is a Morris Perspective podcast. I'm your host, Connie Morris, and we just finished episode 5, Life Inside the Ghetto. So stay with me because once we talk about the police, you'll see why every rebellion of 1967 began with a siren. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Morris Perspective podcast. If today's episode got you thinking, check out my books, Rethinking Implicit Bias Training, a guide to transforming how we approach bias, and The Propaganda of Racism, which exposes the systems designed to divide us. You can learn more and order your copies at my website at www.morrisbiasinitiatives. And remember, we're not done. We're just getting louder. Until next time, stay bold and stay informed.